Saturday's cards are what are we, 3 weeks away from Cheltenham now?
Yep.
And Saturday's cards take us to Kempton for, I think, what has often been seen as, I suppose, the last set of Cheltenham Festival trial races, if you like. We've also got the Ida Chase from Newcastle and a couple of races from Southwell, because we're going to be covering the free-to-air races as we always do, ready for you to have a good study for on the Friday evening into Saturday, and hopefully find you plenty of winners. Tom, you looking forward to a good weekend's racing? We've been spoilt over the this last sort of 6 weeks, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's been some really good racing recently, hasn't there? And well, tomorrow's not too bad at all, is it? I can't see many festival clues coming out tomorrow, but sure, we're nearly there now, and I think most of our minds are made up, aren't they, sir?
Well, let's see if we can't find you a winner or two, regardless of what runs at the Fez. First race to sort of talk about is at Kempton.
Yeah.
It's the 150, the Pendle Novices Chase, a Grade 2 race, over 2.5 miles. The current market favourite is Rubo, 11 to 8, I'd say fairly well supported. Only sort of 5 go to post here.
Yeah.
Maybe not the deepest Grade 2 in the world, but would we be taking Rubo on, do you think?
I think Rubo's got the best form, and judging his last run, he's a deserved market sort of leader here. And look, he chased home Leur de Sud last day, staying on really well at the end. I simply think Leur de Sud was doing nothing in front that day and kind of idling, and probably made Rubo probably look better than what it did, I think. But nonetheless, that's some really good form coming into, isn't it? Like, Leur de Sud's second favourite for the Arkle, and looking at the opposition tomorrow.
It definitely stayed nicely, but we're kind of torn, aren't we, whether that was him staying very well or...
I think Leur de Sud was doing nothing, yeah.
Sort of idling, but flattered him maybe.
Yeah, I don't think the step up in trip's going to help Rubo at all, to be honest. I'd be taking him on here, and I think Imperial Saint's probably the one to do so. He's had a really good campaign, actually. He's a bit of an entry specialist. I think he won 3 there. The only bad run came at Newbury, but he quickly bounced back from that and won Aintree again. And I thought the run at Cheltenham the last day behind Moon Orange was really good effort. Yeah, he's got lots of experience over fences now, which are really come in handy here. I mean, taking on Rubo, who's sort of less experienced. I think Imperial Saint's the one to take him on with. I think Ashdale Bob will probably need conditions to be a lot softer than this and more of a stamina test on a track like Kempton. So that said, I'm going to go with Imperial Saint here,
I think Ashdale Bob's will probably appeal to a few people because he's an Irish Raider coming over. He is a 10-year-old, highly tried 10-year-old, certainly over hurdles anyway. He's got plenty of class about him, this horse, but I agree with Tom. Boombourne could be maybe interesting. Got the only one that's got, I think, proper Grade 2 form in the bank, albeit as a novice.
Yeah, it's often well placed, I think. Often runs in these small fields in, well, it's Grade 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
And picks up plenty of prize money along the way. And if there's any chink in any of their armours, like, he's the one that would be there to do so. But well, if they run on merit, I don't think he's good enough to beat the likes of Imperial Saint or Rubo. But he's...
If you go back to his novice form, though, Boombourne, he beat Soul Icon in that Grade 2.
That form stacked up really well, hasn't it?
Who's gone on to beat Edward Stone over this course and distance. I know it's not an exact science, but I thought Boombourne was probably the value in the race. But I'm inclined to take Rubo on as well, like you.
Yeah.
And I think that I'll probably say that if I'm going to have a bet tomorrow in this race, Boombourne each way would probably be
fair shot,
maybe picking up 2 places might be the way to play it. We'll go back. The next race to talk about from the free-to-air races is the Ida Chase up at Newcastle. Now,
lottery. More chance than the Euro Millions.
This is a tough race to assess. We were talking about it before we come on camera, and in fairness, if someone come to you and said they really fancied one in here, I'm not sure you could be too swayed too easily because it is that open, isn't it?
Yeah, well, O'Connell's market leader, and probably rightly so. Done nothing wrong the last 3 times, winning all of them, and clearly stayed on so strongly at Sandown the last day as well. So
clearly isn't jockey specific either, because they keep changing the jockey.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like I said, he was so strong at the finish over 3 mile at Sandown the last day. I think the extra mile is going to be no problem to that one. Arrives in top form, so like I said, it's no surprise to see top of the market here. I think passing well is definitely worth a mention for Jamie Snowden.
Yeah.
Always seems to run a race while he's probably struggling to get his head in front a little bit, but he's a consistent performer, and he's likely to be thereabouts, isn't he?
Yeah.
Egbert, he flopped when quite fancied for the Scottish National last year. Ran no race around Exeter, but there's much better signs. Obviously, latest one winning at Haydock. Stayed on really strongly that day. So the extra mile for that one could be a key for him in a race where a lot of them have got standards to prove, you know?
Yeah. Ben Haslam does really well with his horses. He picks up a lot of the sort of Irish horses that are near. And I like the way you're thinking. It's got a reasonable profile, I suppose, apart from the fact he's now an 11-year-old. Richie McLaren, I think, is a really good jockey in these stay and chase type races. He's very patient, nurses horses into the race. So wouldn't be a surprise to see that one arrive late on the scene. He won over 3 mile 6 at Newcastle before in a handicap chase. Obviously, the slightly better company here. Maybe that one could go pretty well. The second at Ayr last time wasn't a bad run. The one that I would say is a reasonable each-way play is the Irish horse, the John McConnell's horse, Budastava, is it? Or Satva? Satva? It's hard to actually say that one. Yeah. Finished second at Musselburgh at the start of the month over 3 miles, 7.5 furlongs in that Edinburgh National. Got beaten 9.5 lengths by Magnus Sam. Travelled quite nicely throughout the race. And just carried on staying. That was on good to soft ground. Look, got a £5 claimer on board, a reasonably well-weighted horse who clearly likes the trip. The ground tomorrow, as long as we don't get complete deluge of rain, should be good to softish sort of ground. I thought that one had a bit of a squeak. And I just one thing, Gavin Sheehan was the last jockey to ride O'Connell, so it's quite interesting. I know he would ride Jamie's horses anyway, but he'll have a good hand on whether or not his or O'Connell's is a horse to be on, I'd imagine. Yeah,
absolutely. But I'd go with Egbert and Passing Well, who always runs his race.
Yeah.
And I just think with Egbert himself also, I think he stayed on so strongly the last day. The step on the trip should be no problem. He comes here in form. And I think both each way chances, I don't think he'd be too far away, you know?
100%. It's worth talking about. Right, then we flip back to Kempton for the Adonis Hurdle. Those of you at the start of the week that would have had a look at the cards would have seen juicy entries for Lalamba and Palladium, that sort of £1 million plus horse. Yep. But neither of them run here, and that's left Mondo Man looking a little bit of a penalty kick, I think, looking in this particular field.
Yeah.
Based on his flat form, based on his first run, which talk to us about his first run, Tom, because we talked about how it didn't quite go to plan, but yet finished a nice second.
He was always been an interesting horse, wasn't he? Once I noticed he'd making his hurdling debut, actually. He was a really good flat horse. I think he achieved a rating of 111. I think he's fourth at Royal Ascot.
Yeah.
But his hurdling debut, he ran a cracking race at the end, don't get me wrong, but he did so much wrong throughout that, I thought. He was very keen. He was quite sloppy over his hurdles. The further it went, the kind of better he got, and ultimately chased home Lalamba, who's your market leader for the Triumph Hurdle. So, I mean, on form, he's going to be taking this, but he did an awful lot wrong that day. So we're going to want to see him definitely scratch up his jumping and definitely set a bit better. But that said, form-wise alone, he's the one that's going to win this race, I think. But there's a lot more to come from him as well. Yeah. There's a lot more he can improve on. But it's his only second start of the hurdle, so I think that's fair enough, you know?
OPEC, well, actually, it's a horse that interested me potentially before seeing him entered here for the Fred Windsor at the Cheltenham Festival. But I'd say that's probably unlikely now, given that if he runs here, he's probably going to be trying his best. And
he's done very little wrong over hurdles, has he? Absolutely bolted up at Newbury, beating one of the more fancied runners from the yard that day. He just didn't get home in the soft conditions in a Grade 1 round Chepstow the last day, so I think he put a line through that. 2 mile round Kempton on better ground, with much more up his street. And, you know, if Mondo Man was to flop for any reason, OPEC's the one that's going to be taking this. But, I think that alone, I think Mondo Man's going to win this, and OPEC won't be too far away from him.
And the last one I've got to mention is a horse called Mambo Number 5, not just because he's beautifully named and we all know about that song and stuff, but again, when we went round to Ben Paulins, he flopped last time at Cheltenham, which was he didn't run any type of race. I can't quite make out because all his French form's on bad ground, on heavy, very soft ground. He's going to be running on good ground tomorrow if he runs. and I can't quite make out whether or not we're expecting a much better horse because of that, or he's running to sort of get that experience under his belt. But either way, I think Mambo number 5 is an interesting horse for the future anyway. So I thought I'd just mention it just in case he ended up...
I've heard you talk about that one before, actually. So,
It ended up rolling in tomorrow. The next race comes from Southwell, which is what we were talking is the race that's normally Winter Derby ran at
Lingfield. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was run at Southwell last year or not. I think it might have been for the first time, but it always used to be Lingfield, didn't it?
Yeah.
But this is the sprint race, isn't it? Look, Marshman is the likely favourite at this stage. Returning in really good form this winter, winning both starts. Latest beat Diligent Harry, but I thought with the run under his belt, he was entitled to do so. I think the second time now run for this season for Diligent Harry, you can expect to see much better from him. He's last year's winner, and he absolutely bolted up that day. And I think he can improve plenty on that. And he's the one I'm going to go with here, Diligent Harry. He's been a good sprinter over the years, and 5 or 6 furlong doesn't seem to bother him which one it is. And he's a pretty consistent performer at a very good level.
Yeah. Not the one that I sort of take a little bit of an angle on. Not that it would be a confidence selection, but Equilateral for Charles Hill's Kieran Fallon riding. The reason I like this horse is basically because he's got good course and distance form.
Yeah.
From a ratings point of view and from an age point of view, being a 10-year-old, he'll really have to be absolutely on it. His last run at Wolverhampton would be a little bit disappointed. He finished 5th, 5 out of 5 that day. However, I think it's probably the bends round Wolverhampton that probably he didn't like as much. Back on a straight track at Southwell, over 5 furlongs. He's got course and distance form. It's a slightly different type of track at Southwell, so that's why I sort of thought that would
his form 2 starts back when he won at Southwell, really good actually. He beat a horse called Killian.
Yeah.
And that stacks up really well. So I can see why you're selecting that one. He's got an each way squeak, definitely.
Okay, we'll flip back to Kempton for the Dovecote. Another Grade 2 hurdle race. Again, probably a lot of very nearly horses here. I think probably a lot of these horses we'll end up seeing not at the festival itself, but maybe actually entry type horses. I think that's fair to say. It's actually quite a competitive little field, this, and I think, again, talking off camera, we'll bring it to the camera.
I think it's the race of the day for sure.
We think actually the tactics of this race could play into the hands of the selection.
Yeah, expect this to be run at a frantic gallop. I think there's no doubt about that. Miami Magic and Royce definitely like to get on with things. I expect them to take each other on and actually burn each other out here. I think they could settle it perfectly for the likes of Tripoli Flyer and Celtic Dino. I'm going to go with Celtic Dino. He's done very little wrong in his career, has he? He's ran to a high level over hurdles so far. He was 4th in that race at Aintree behind Potter's Charm. Miami Magic was back in 2nd. He's got to turn the tables there. I think back round a track like Kempton on better ground, much more to his liking, and it could just fall into his lap once they start to get a bit tired, these 2 front runners, I think. So that alone, I'm going to go with Celtic Dino.
I think just talking about Tripoli Flyer, I've been told by Fergal that the aim is definitely Aintree for this one. But if he wants to go to Aintree in one of those top novice hurdles, he'd need to be winning this on the way to doing so. I wouldn't be sort of sat there with great confidence if he finished a 4 or 5 length third. So I'd say he'd need to be winning this. But having said that, I think this is a better race than he's been contesting. So
definitely.
I would say that he's got to step up a lot to improve, albeit that he's clearly a very talented horse himself. I'm in full agreement. I think that I'm just prepared to forgive Celtic Dino that last run at Aintree a little bit, because they come out the clouds a little bit there. It's misty, not a great day.
Plenty of speed as well. I think back to Kempton on better grounds, much more to his liking.
And Royce for sure will go off. But then again, I've also said that it wouldn't be the biggest if he was to get a soft lead for one reason or another. I think he would take the world and peg him back. From a tactical point of view, this race is really. I
think Miami Magic's a better horse than Royce, though. So,
okay, cool, fine. We'll move on. Celtic Dino for both of us, I think, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
The next race, we're back at Southwell for the 3:15, which is we've got quite a hot favourite here, haven't we?
Yeah, I think rightly so as well. Royal Champion, really good horse, isn't he? I thought he's got form that ties in last season with the likes of Alfeda and My Prospero, who are really good horses in their own right, aren't they?
Yeah.
He returned with a good win at Lingfield, beating Tyrrhenian Sea by a couple of lengths. He's got the sort of race fitness edge over Military Academy, who we haven't seen for over 100 days. I think his target's a bit later on in Bahrain, by all accounts, so I heard the other day.
Yeah.
So he'll probably come on plenty for this. And I think, that said, I think Royal Champion's probably ready to strike here, and I'd firmly expect him to win this.
Yeah. Again, it's hard to sort of oppose. The one I will, again, course and distance form, just thought I'd have a little each-way play. I think I do think that Champagne Prince winning last time out, it's got to improve a great deal to step forward here to mix it with that selection of Tom's. But look, if the other one doesn't really enjoy the ground and enjoy the surface, so to speak, he won nicely enough last time, and was going away and done it very easily. If he could take another step forward, maybe that one I thought could mix it and maybe
going the right way, for sure.
Find as well his way into the frame. So okay, then we go back to the final race from Kempton, which is the 3:35. Highland is your current market favourite, and I think it's fair to say if Highland was to be able to reproduce that Quarto Star form, he'd take the world of beating here, wouldn't he?
I can't go against him, to be honest. He's
with
shown
the weight.
really good form around Kempton the last day behind the jukebox man. Even before that round, Cheltenham winning his 2 starts. He beat obviously my favourite horse in training, Springwell Bay. We all know what he's done since, so it's great form. You look around him, Larry's Bar, he's off 12 stone. He's got a even higher weight, and Our Power, he's not getting any younger, is he? I think
won the race lap 2 years ago, though. Our Power definitely likes,
and it comes here in form.
Yeah, definitely likes the track, and
we're talking about Highland, who's chased home the jukebox man, who, barring sort of what's gone on recently and not meeting his target for Cheltenham coming up, I mean, he'd be looking at one of the favourites for the festival, wouldn't he? And it's seriously good form, and I think Highland around 7-2 at the minute is really good value.
Do you think he's one of the most underrated horses this season, really, when you think
Highland?
Yeah.
No one talks about him, do they? But you go for his form, it's serious.
It's rock solid, isn't it?
Very good form. I think going into the last at Kempton, they were almost neck and neck.
Well, the jukebox man had to jump and fly that, otherwise he would have had a battle to the line, wouldn't he?
And they'd been enough level weights that day, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure. I really fancy Highland here. I'd probably make him my bet of the day, actually.
Okay, interesting. Just a couple of the others. I do think Beachcomber, after his, I thought that was quite a nice performance the last day, course and distance form. He beat Ferro Bamboo by 10 lengths, Golden Sun by 10 and a bit lengths, Dreaming Blue, we've all been caught, high stakes player. I suppose what I'm pointing out there is he's beaten a lot of solid handicappers, and he done it in a very, very taking fashion. John Joe's horses are actually going pretty well, aren't they? As a whole, they seem to be.
Makes a change, doesn't it?
They seem to be going pretty well. They're having winners at all sorts of different meetings and tracks, and Beachcomber comes here in good order. So I would definitely say he's one to consider for sure.
Yep.
Anyway, so we find ourselves here at the end of covering a good day's racing at Kempton. Bet of the day, Tom? I think you just give it away.
Highland for me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Stand-up performer. Really good form. I think he can definitely win that race tomorrow.
I think it's a tough one to give my bet of the day. I think I'll probably go in the Pendle. I'll take on Rubo, and I think that Boomborn
Each way
is a massive price. I think he's certain to sort of go well around there. So that's the one I'm going to stick with. Thanks for obviously joining us. It's been a good session filming today. We've got lots coming up, Tom, haven't we? The Cheltenham Festival preview.
Yeah.
We've also just got confirmed a good filming session from Cheltenham itself, which we're looking forward to as well.
Yeah, it'd be great to get that, wouldn't it? Not so far from the festival now, so
exactly. And so if you want to join us on the Cheltenham Festival preview, which is at Clavel and Hind on the 5th of March, go and find the link in our bio, and obviously you'll be able to get your tickets for it there. But for now, good luck with all your selections. Hopefully we've helped you along the way, and we'll get some
Thanks
more.
for watching.
Cheers. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.